Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elite Weather. My name is Mr. G, the meteorologist for this channel here, and I am a student meteorologist. So if you like what you're seeing here on this channel, and if you like what I'm doing for you guys, leave your likes and comments, and also feel free to subscribe to the channel. Never hurt to subscribe. All right. So let's move on with our weather forecast and go over our weather today because we have a few things to talk about there. We do have a couple of tropical systems, one in the Atlantic and a couple in the Pacific. We have a big one up near Alaska, the remnants of Typhoon Merbok. I have a hard time saying that one. Merbok, because that one hit Japan, and now the remnants is affecting Alaska and the Gulf of Alaska, and it's been spreading very heavy rain and some high winds. So we're seeing a lot of flooding and some wind erosion on the sides of the coastal mountain peaks there. So we're seeing a lot of damage taking place across the south-facing areas of Alaska at the Pacific there. So we're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to take a look at our current conditions that we're seeing out there across America right now. So let's jump into our current temperatures. And as we look at the temperatures across the country, we're seeing those temperatures in the 80s still across portions of the Midwest. This is where our warm spot has been today, and we're seeing that warm air being drawn up. So we got some warm air advection across the central plains, so into the central sections of the country, because we have a storm system here across the northern plains, and we have our other storm system here out across the west. And between the two of these storm systems, they're pulling up that warm air from the south. So we are seeing those warmer temperatures here through the central plains, and currently we're seeing a lot of 80s. 80s in Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Worth, as well as San Antonio, and down here in Houston, Mississippi, we're seeing those 80s along the Gulf Coast, as well as in western Florida there in the Panhandle. I think this here is Pensacola, Florida, where we're seeing the 80 right now. 81 down there in Miami, and we're seeing a temperature of 76 over here in Charlotte, and we're seeing those temperatures in the 80s. But we've got some 50s up there in the far northern areas of the Northeast for this evening as well. And we're seeing those temperatures in the 70s in Minnesota and the 60s down there near the lake. And we're seeing those temperatures in the 50s out here in California, 59 in San Francisco, 74 down in LA, 68 down there in San Diego, or should I say Tijuana, Mexico, 74 in San Diego, 68 in Tijuana. So that is a look at our current temperatures, at least current as of the time I'm recording this video. May not be the same by the time I get it posted after the editing. Eventually, all of these videos will be recorded as lives. That's my goal, is to have these all as live. So when I say here's the current temperature, it will be the current temperature at the time it's being posted. So here's our current radar right now, and it's about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening on your Saturday, and we're seeing that storm system across the northern plains right now. We have some severe weather through portions of Iowa here, through central Iowa. Now this is going to be moving to the east here through Illinois, so we're going to be seeing some severe weather as well. There's actually a severe thunderstorm watch associated with this, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. We also have some more showers and storms here through northern Minnesota as well. And our western system here, we have another secondary frontal boundary, or a trough of low pressure with some short waves. So we have a lot of unsettled weather through portions of the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. There is our remnants of tropical storm of Typhoon Merbok. I want to say Murdoch. I think it might be Murdoch or Merbok. The remnants of Typhoon Merbok. Typhoon Merbach. Say it. Typhoon Merbach. Let's all say it together. Typhoon Merbach. That's the remnants of it off the coast of California. Going to be spreading heavy rain from the Bay Area north into the Pacific Northwest. You may see a few showers down in Kern County and in Central California. Might pick up a little bit of rain, but we're going to see heavy rain from the Bay Area north to the Central and Northern Oregon there. So here we are as we talk about the watches and hazards this evening. Here is our severe thunderstorm watch area through portions of Iowa. We have Nebraska and Kansas. So eastern, northeastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, and southern Iowa. So we're seeing our severe thunderstorm watch here. And we have another severe thunderstorm watch up here in northern Minnesota from the Duluth area and the Iron Range here. That's where that is. That's our severe thunderstorm watch. With the exception of that, there are no other watches and warnings posted anywhere across the country tonight. And here is our forecast analysis, and here's why I think we're going to be seeing the forecast that we will be. And here we are as we talk about our surface analysis. Here's where our fronts and areas of high pressure and low pressure is, for as we're seeing it from the about 2 meters up from the Earth's surface. So here we are. Here's our northern system as of right now, and it is spreading those showers and storms, and we're having that moisture down here through Iowa and Minnesota and portions of Nebraska, where we're going to be seeing that severe weather, as well as into your Sunday. We're going to be seeing your severe weather. High pressure is in control across the southeastern U.S., primarily dry weather, with the exception of that sea breeze action down here in Florida, and along the immediate Gulf Coast might see a few showers and thunderstorms as that warm, moist tropical air interacts with the landmass, even though it's not like high mountains down there, but it's just enough to give it some instability and a little bit of lift. So we're going to be seeing some afternoon pulse thunderstorms. That's those storms that pop up, look like popcorn. Popcorn storms pop up, rain themselves out, and that's pretty much it. They don't really move anywhere. They just kind of pop up, rain where they are, and dissipate. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that across the southeast. We have some more monsoon moisture in play as well. The never-ending monsoon this season. So we're going to be seeing that monsoon moisture as our Four Corners high is back into position and able to pump up some of that monsoon moisture down there across the Four Corners state tomorrow as well. And we have our unsettled weather conditions across the northwest here. We have another front dropping down out of Canada there. You see that guy there? And we have the tail end of our Midwest storm there. And we have that interaction going on with some high pressure and a couple of short waves embedded in there as well. Some local features that don't always get picked up very well by the radar. Not by the radar, but the forecast models. So they miss a lot of these things there. So be on the lookout if you're in portions of the central and northern Rockies and through the Pacific Northwest. Be prepared for some scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow as well. But no severe weather is expected at this time from any of that activity there. And here we are as we talk about, here is our upper air pattern across America for your Sunday. And we're going to be seeing a lot of troughing in the west. So we have a long wave trough across the western half of the United States with our ridge set up mostly over the Great Lakes and portions of the Northeast. So we're going to be seeing that troughing, and we have the trough on the east, and we have the trough across the west with the ridging in the middle. So we're seeing that warmer air across the central plains here, but we're seeing it cooler in the northeast and cooler across the Pacific Northwest, but more stormy in those areas as well, as we see the energy coming in off of the Pacific. We have our tropical moisture intermixed with that as well, so it's kind of amplifying the amount of moisture that's falling. So we're getting enhanced rainfall amounts because of the influx of tropical moisture from Merbach out here, from the remnants, and we have this strong storm system here through the upper Midwest and into portions of the Great Lakes and the southern provinces of Canada. So here, right in this region, we have that other piece of energy that's going to be spreading showers and storms through the New England states into your Sunday. So now let's take a look at what that moisture in the Pacific is doing here. And we are looking at our upper air pattern here. This area of low pressure right here is the leftovers of Typhoon Merbok. Here it is off the coast of California, going to be spreading some heavy rain through from the Bay Area through portions of the Pacific Northwest. We could pick up anywhere from 1 to 3 inches across northern California, in central and southern Oregon on your Sunday and into Monday. So we're going to be seeing heavy rain. And then this other energy that we're seeing here across Alaska, there's the Aleutian Islands. Here is the Bay of Alaska, or the Gulf of Alaska right here. And we have more of that energy from the remnants of that energy from Typhoon Merbok. And it's been spreading heavy rain through Alaska, very devastating flooding. I saw some videos on TikTok today. TikTok is an excellent place to see videos of things that's going on, because most of the videos are taken by members of the public. They're not always news media. It's just regular folks who take their video and post it to TikTok. So I've seen a lot of incredible damage caused by the flooding and the high winds. We're getting hurricane force winds here along the coast of Alaska this weekend. So a very devastating situation. Even though they're not actually getting an actual typhoon or hurricane, but they are seeing hurricane-like conditions with those wind gusts and that heavy rain. So we're seeing a lot of damage. So prayers to those folks in Alaska, because they don't often see tropical influences on the weather there. They don't often see tropical enhanced rainfall or precipitation in that way, in that manner. So they're not really equipped to handle that situation. So with my thoughts and prayers go to the folks in Alaska, our neighbors up there, our brothers and sisters up there to the north. So let's take a look at the storm system that's moving across the upper Midwest right now, and you can see it here as it goes through on the map. There's that upper storm system right there, that guy that's going to be moving across the Great Lakes, and there it goes as it goes off into the northeast. But look at right here, this is a big ridge of high pressure, so we're going to keep that blocking high in place. So this is going to keep temperatures very nice and warm across the state of Texas and the Central Plains, as well as into the southeast. We're going to be seeing cooler weather here through the mid-Atlantic and to the coast, the northeast there. As you see how it goes to the south here, we have this kind of a flow from the northwest, because that's going to be pulling cooler air down out of Canada and more inclement weather as well. So we're going to see more opportunities for some showers and storms into the northeast, but cooler weather as well. And the same thing here on the Pacific, as we see this very powerful storm system there off the west coast right there. But what's interesting about this guy is that when it comes on shore, it's going to dissipate a lot and struggle to make it over the Rockies. So the Rockies is going to kind of pull that guy apart as it moves overhead, but we'll keep an eye on it as it moves off into the plains and see if there's some kind of reorganization. But it doesn't, the models doesn't indicate that it's going to do that, and what's left of it is going to move into Canada actually. So the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the East really won't benefit or be affected by the remnants of Merbok over here. So, but the West Coast certainly feeling the effects of Merbok and the remnants of it. So that heavy rain will continue there across Northern California. San Francisco could pick up 1 to 3 inches of rain. So a very interesting, very unusual situation for September. We don't usually start looking for situations that can cause heavy rain on the West Coast until December and into January, but this is certainly unusual because it has that tropical influence connected with it, so they don't typically see that in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. Unfortunately, Southern California won't benefit too much in the way of rainfall, but it will be influenced by that onshore flow and be much cooler. So we're going to see temperatures in LA and San Diego in the 60s and 70s. Low clouds and fog will be prevalent, and that marine layer is going to be about 3,000 feet thick. So that means you're going to see some local drizzle across the Southland as well, and the beaches out there. So from LA, from the valleys down to the coastal section, we might see a little bit of dampness on the road. Sometimes I grew up out there, and I remember we often see it in June, and we call it June gloom. We have a very thick marine layer, and those clouds, that stratus cloud that comes on off the sea, because you have that cooler air over the ocean, and it moves over the land, and it's a bit warmer, and that air, that land, that cooler ocean breeze cools the land, so you get that thick layer of fog and dense stratus and fog, and sometimes it's just thick enough to produce some light drizzle. Sometimes it just feels like little sprinkles, but sometimes they can actually produce really light rain that can be measured. You can get maybe 5/100 of an inch or a couple of hundredths of an inch or a trace. It can actually make the roads wet and slick. So that's certainly a possibility, even though most of the action is going to be to your north, but it's going to enhance that not monsoonal flow, but the low clouds and fog, that marine layer. So that is a look at the upper air pattern over the mainland. And here we are as we talk about our teleconnections. And this is valid. What this is showing that storm here on the west, this is our PNA. This is the Pacific North American pattern. So, and here we are, we're seeing that it's going to be negative for the next several days here. That's indicative of that big storm there on the west coast, but it's going to slightly go neutral. So that means that weather is going to be moving to the Rockies. We're going to see things kind of level out here on the west, but then another drop down, because another piece of energy from Merbach, from that big system, is going to affect the west coast later on in the week, right about the 22nd or so of September, and then we'll see another ridge build in, and we're going to kind of have a seesaw back and forth from dry weather to cooler and wet weather as we move on into the month of October. So unsettled weather will be the order of the day across the west coast, and we're going to be seeing unsettled weather for the most part across the east. Here is the Atlantic oscillation, and it's showing again that unsettled weather across the northeast and the Great Lakes area. See how it's negative here. When it goes down below this line, that's a negative, and that's indicative of stormy and cooler weather. So we're going to see that. And it's going to be neutral for the most part, unsettled again on the northeast, because we have that northwesterly flow, because we're seeing that troughing to the east and that ridge of high pressure over the middle of the country. So we have our blocking high in the center and troughing on the west coast and on the northeast. So the northwest and the northeast, slight ridging, troughing in place. So it's going to leave things cooler and unsettled. So you're going to be seeing situations where it goes positive, then a few days later it's negative, then it's neutral, then you see it's negative, so that's indicative. And this is about early October here. This is indicative of the possibility of a more significant round of cooler and maybe even some wet weather. So that's a look at our forecast analysis and the teleconnections, which is the signals that we're picking up to help us to determine those weather forecasts there. So here we are as we talk about the severe weather outlook for the next several days. And here are with tonight's severe weather. We have those two rounds of severe weather that we're currently seeing right now here across northern Minnesota, where we have the severe thunderstorm watch in place, as well as the potential for some flash flooding. And then down here across portions of Iowa, northwestern Missouri, southeastern Nebraska, and northwestern Kansas, or northeastern Kansas. to central Kansas. We have that we're going to see what's called a mesoscale convective complex or convective system, an MCC or MCS that we're seeing in this area. Those MCSs are basically big rotating thunderstorms. They're what they're called a meso-low. So it's kind of a compact area of rotating thunderstorms. They can be long-lived. They can last for hours to even days as it moves across to the east there. So we're going to see that guy slowly move into Illinois tomorrow. So our severe weather is going to expand to portions of Illinois and Missouri again as we have that MCS in place. Now, I think most of this will occur in the early part of the day, in the morning to about mid-morning to about the noon hour. We're going to be seeing this because this is going to be what's left over from tonight's storms through portions of Iowa and Nebraska and Kansas, but it's going to slowly move to the east. And it's got a nice low-level jet in there, so we have a low-level jet. So it's going to intensify in the late hours tonight because we're going to have that low-level influx of moisture and energy as we have a pretty potent area of low pressure up here across Minnesota. So it's going to really provide that spark and instability for this. So tonight, we're going to see that increase and see a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain, some hail, and gusty winds out ahead of this thing. The gusty winds will be as these storms are approaching from the west. So it's going to start off with some gusty winds, then that heavy rain, and you might even see some a P to about dime-sized hail possible as well. And I don't expect us to see any tornadic activities, but the periphery of this storm system, we could see a brief spread up, maybe a gustnado or a landspout form from that. So we're going to be seeing some interesting severe weather on your tonight, for your Sunday, mainly in the first half of the day tomorrow. And then that system moves on to the mid-Atlantic states. So we're going to be seeing it in Pennsylvania and downstate New York on Monday. So on Monday, we have an isolated risk for some severe weather. That's our marginal risk. Our main energy will move up into Canada, so it's going to be a little bit further away, a little bit less energy to work with, so we won't see as much widespread severe weather, but some isolated severe is going to certainly be possible. And that primary threat is going to be some heavy rain and some small hail and some gusty winds as well. But it will be very isolated at best. So that is a look at our severe weather opportunities for the next several days. Now let's talk about our tropical outlook. Now we're dealing with Fiona, we have Lester, and we have Madeline. Or Madeline, not Maybelline. Whatever you need a storm, this guy's Maybelline. Okay, so we have Tropical Storm Madeline, which is just formed today, and it's going to be out over the Pacific, and it's not going to affect any land. It's going to be moving to the west, so we're not going to really deal with that tonight because I had prepped the forecast already. So we'll deal with that on the next forecast tomorrow. Maybe when we do our live tomorrow, we'll talk about Madeline. But tonight, we're just going to be talking about Fiona because many people vacation in the Caribbean, and Fiona is going to impact travel plans this weekend and into next week if you're going to the Caribbean or down in the Atlantic out there. So here's where Fiona currently resides. It's just near Puerto Rico here in the Leeward Islands. So tonight we are seeing it down there, and it's a storm with about 60 miles per hour winds. It's slowly starting to intensify. It's actually moving into a little bit better area where it can get more organized. So we're seeing a little bit less in the way of shear and a little bit better moisture to the west. We do have a lot of thunderstorm activity this way, and it's moving into this moist environment. So it's going to slowly gather strength over the next several days. It will eventually become a hurricane as we move into Monday. So by Monday, we could be talking about Hurricane Fiona, and it's going to be moving. So it's going to move to southern Puerto Rico. It's currently over the just off the southeastern corner of Puerto Rico. It's going to move mainly just to the south, and it's going to move over the southwestern tip of Puerto Rico, and then head over towards the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and it's going to brush the Dominican Republic just on the northeastern corner of the Dominican. It's going to make landfall over the Dominican Republic. It's going to miss Haiti, but it's going to move just to the north and be just right offshore. And eventually it's going to turn its way to the north, and it's going to hit Bermuda, and it's going to brush the western edges or the eastern edges of the Bahamas. So the Bahamas is going to have a glancing blow from Hurricane Fiona. So we're seeing Hurricane Fiona has a chance to become a major hurricane. I'm expecting that by the time we get to possibly Wednesday and Thursday, Fiona could be a major hurricane, but then it's going to be out over open waters. So it's not going to impact any land masses. It will just pass Bermuda. So a little bit on Fiona there. Here we are with the storm track of the prediction centers there. Here is that path that is ejected to take. This is about 144 hours. We could be dealing with a major hurricane category 3 or stronger. Fiona is forecast to become at least a category 4 hurricane. So that's winds of up to of at least 140 miles per hour. So we're going to be talking about a category 4 Hurricane Fiona, but it's going to be out over the open Atlantic, headed off toward the northeast on its way to Great Britain, unfortunately. But it's going to bring some stormy weather to the North Atlantic, probably the British Isles. It won't be a hurricane naturally. It will be extratropical by then, but it will bring some heavy rain and some pretty nasty weather to the North Sea up there. So that's a little bit on the future of Fiona. Fiona, here is the forecast projections of Fiona, and here it is, where it's predicting it to be a category 4 hurricane at about the 144 hour mark. So Hurricane Fiona, this is what's called an ensemble. This is different forecast models, and we kind of put them all together, and it averages it out, and we are looking at the potential. Now, these are a couple of outliers here, but there's that potential of a category 4 hurricane. I'm definitely pretty sure it's going to hit category 2. I can almost promise you at least a category 3, a category 2, and we have a decent chance of getting that category 3. So that category 3 is pretty likely, a good chance of that. Category 4 is a slight chance, but that's certainly possible. We could be dealing with category 3 gives it major hurricane status. So here is a look at the cloud deck of tropical storm, soon to be Hurricane Fiona, and you can see a lot of good convection. That center of circulation is right here. So a lot of that energy is to the east here. So that's an indicative, but you see a good outflow going. So it's starting to develop a really respectable outflow. You're looking at that there. It's really starting to improve and strengthen with time here as it moves off to the west and northwest. But you still see a little bit of shear. You see that blow off there? And that's that shearing involved. But we're going to be moving into areas with less shear, so it's certainly going to slowly intensify as it moves off to the north and west there. So let's get down to our weather forecast, our forecast chart here. Here's our chart map, and we're going to be talking about, let's start off with that severe weather in the Midwest tomorrow. So we're going to emphasize that potential for some heavy rain, some gusty winds, some hail. Tornadoes are not likely, or very, very slight chance of a brief spin up if any do happen. But we're seeing that MCS, this is our complex of thunderstorms here, and very long lasting thunderstorms. And if I can get a satellite view tomorrow of that, I'll show that when we have our live, so you can see what that MCS looks like on the satellite. So here's our frontal boundary here in the Midwest. That's going to be our catalyst for that severe weather. And we have a warm front a secondary front there in the northeast that's going to be springing up some more cooler weather and showers and some embedded thunderstorms as well. So some more wet weather in the northeast and along the Great Lakes areas tomorrow. So we're going to see a little bit of rainfall across the Great Lakes. And we have tropical moisture down here along the Gulf Coast and southern Texas and the Florida Panhandle and portions of the southeast from about Myrtle Beach south down to Miami-Dade and the Keys. So we're going to be seeing that scattered to isolated stuff. The never-ending monsoon again across the four corners as that high pressure in place, and it's allowing that tropical moisture to come across the Gulf, from the Gulf of Mexico and along the Rio Grande into the four corners out there. So we're going to be seeing those monsoons. And there is our big boy there off in the Pacific. This is the remnants of Typhoon Merbok, and that's that. It's extra tropical now, so now it took on the features of a mid-latitude storm. So we have a low pressure with a cold front now. So it took on extra tropical characteristics. So it's going to be spreading that heavy rain through the west coast out there from the central California all the way into portions of central Oregon. Seattle actually won't get any rainfall from this on Sunday, but Portland will see some rain showers all the way down to central California. Southern California won't get any actual rainfall from that. So that is a look at your Sunday weather forecast. And here we are with our Monday. Our severe weather threat moves to portions of, we have Pennsylvania and upstate, the southern half of upstate New York over to about New York City, west of Pittsburgh. We could be seeing our slight risk, or not a slight risk, but a marginal risk for some severe weather, and that's going to be some heavy wind, some gusty winds, and some heavy rain. It's the primary threat with that. Some more showers through New England up to the Nova Scotia border as well. Dry weather across the mid-south, but some isolated storms along the southeast coast, the Florida Panhandle, and again, the Gulf Coast over into Texas along the Rio Grande again. And this is going to be very isolated stuff. Temperatures are going to be respectable as well. Those 80s and 90s across the Central Plains and the Midwest. So to the west of the Mississippi Valley, through the plains, we're going to see those 80s and lower 90s. That's going to be the warm spot across the country. And naturally, the desert Southwest will be as well, 90s. But we won't see any triple digits this week. In fact, we're going to see a pretty significant cool down across the northern tier of the nation and the east as we move into the midweek section, and we're going to be talking about that later on, but we're going to see things really cool down where we're going to see highs in the 50s across the northern plains for a few days toward the end of this upcoming week. We have that storm system, that unsettled weather along the U.S. and Canadian border, the northern Rockies, the high plains through Montana, the northern plains of New Mexico, not New Mexico, but the northern plains of North Dakota and South Dakota. And it's kind of weird because every end state with me has to be New Mexico. And Minnesota, again, is going to see more isolated or scattered showers and thunderstorms on your Monday as well. And a lot of that is going to be some moisture associated with this upper level moisture there along the U.S.-Canadian border. More monsoons across the Southwest. So that is a look at your Sunday weather forecast. That's all I have for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. My name is Mr. G, your student meteorologist here. And you guys watching these videos are helping me with my craft, helping me get better at delivering these weather forecasts to the public. Because one day maybe I'll be on a TV station, but I certainly hope to work for the National Weather Service one day. So you guys can help me with that path by watching these videos, leaving your likes, your comments, your feedback about how I'm doing, and follow me to my TikTok and subscribing to me on YouTube. Now, I'll be live streaming tomorrow evening at 4 o'clock from on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So I have 2 Facebook channels, pages. I have a personal page, and I have a public figure, whatever type page. So I will be live streaming on all 4 of those things tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So come on over and check things out. The links will be in the bio for my TikTok and Facebook. So, and you can watch it right here on YouTube. That's it for tonight, guys. I will see you guys all in the next forecast. Bye-bye.